Deluded, I'm back again.
Come on, Ian, man. Come on.
As the big man Ian Wright said there, international break or no international break, the show keeps going on. The vids have to keep coming out. People, Deluded, I'm back again. I hope you lot are doing well and safe. I hope you and your loved ones are in great health. And I hope this year is bringing you everything you want in terms of your personal and professional lives. As usual, appreciative of my regular viewers tuning back in. If you're new here, hit the subscribe button. Please, 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 all of you smash the like button, as well as getting the creative juices flowing and commenting your own thoughts in the live chat, or obviously after the video when the video's done. One love to those of you watching this on the replay. Again, we're doing a good job in terms of getting some motion in the YouTube algorithm, doing the algorithm business, and I can't do it by myself. I've done it with you lot, so please continue to do such. Now let's get straight into it and see what is concerning our football club in the latest tabloids, people. As you know, where Mikel Arteta's Arsenal are concerned, many people, including myself, are saying we need a striker. Depending on who you talk to, we need a target man. We need a bagsman. We need someone that's just going to stand in the area and score goals. I must admit, I would love a striker. I would love a striker that brings 20, maybe even 30. I know I'm dreaming a bit, but 20 odd league goals, I think that takes us to another level. Mikel Arteta once said we need to be a team that scores 100 goals, and that's where we want to go, really and truly, if I'm completely honest with you. And I think another attacker could do that. As time shifts, I must admit, personally, I'm starting to believe that we're going to get maybe someone that can play up front, but maybe filling on the left-hand side, the right-hand side up front if required. You know, someone, not exactly Kai Havertz or Trossard, but using Trossard's a better example, actually. You know, Trossard can play across the front three. So, yeah. And I do think when we think about a striker, people, I do think we need to break the layers down. Obviously, a striker needs to score goals. They're paid to score goals. I'm sure Mikel Arteta and Arsenal want that. But and again, the terminology is off, but you could argue being a striker is scoring goals is necessarily the, you know, not the be all and end all in a Mikel Arteta system. Or Gabriel Jesus wouldn't have led the line, you know, when he signed for the club. Trossard can score goals, but at Arsenal he's not got the strongest of pedigrees in that. I know Kai Havertz of recent has hit a real purple patch in front of goal, but he's not a clinical bagsman. It's dropping deep, it's winning fouls, it's almost being selfless and sacrificing yourself in terms of the runs you make, so that we can have the late runners from midfield, and obviously the Sakas, the Trossards, the Martinellis out wide can benefit from the space. Now, Victor Gyokeres, you know, even he probably couldn't have imagined that life would be this great in Portugal after joining from Coventry City. He's having a really good season and he's still consistently bagging. Allegedly, Victor Gyokeres scored a sensational hat-trick and grabbed another brilliant assist in front of onlooking Arsenal scouts as Sporting routed Boavista 6-1 on Sunday night. I mean, he's doing his thing, really and truly, and that's music to my ears. Obviously, striker scoring a hat-trick at Arsenal's unheard of. Big up Eddie Nketiah. But an assist, really and truly. Allegedly revealed on Saturday by this very tabloid, Arsenal sent a delegation to be in attendance at the stadium, people, in order to again assess the form of the red-hot 25-year-old. So he makes good runs, his pressing statistics are good, his hold-up play is good, you know, his general play is good, he scores, he assists, he's 25 years of age. This is music to my ears. I'm not going to sit here and say I'm the most religious viewer of Portuguese football. I know this individual down to a T. Make sure you got your notifications on, because I will be doing a bit of a video around Gyokeres and other sort of tactical videos on my YouTube channel to tie over you lot with the international break. Apparently, Gyokeres poached one goal in the first half, demonstrating first-class movement in and around the box, and added a brilliant individual goal after the break, pulling away from defenders down the left-hand channel. The former St. Pauli star cut inside and rifled a right-footed shot past the Boavista goalkeeper. That's what you want to hear. Currently, he's got 22 goals in 24 league games. His XG must be out of this world. Now, I don't doubt that he's a great player. He showed it at Coventry, showing it now. And I don't doubt his ability to score goals and have a strong catalogue of goals. But on top of that, he's in a really, really good run of form. I don't know if this will continue. He has 36 goals in 39 games overall for his new club and has 14 assists. I mean, this is music to my ears on top of what Saka, Martinelli, Odegaard and Trossard and all the other guys could do for the football club, people, and are doing for the football club. As you know, we didn't sign a striker in in the summer or in January. Apparently, you know, he joined from Coventry for 20 odd million. He's been linked with upwards of 100 million release clause. I don't think Arsenal will do that. But at the end of the day, in a day and age where there isn't too many household or decent strikers that are on the market to us humble football fans, I mean, they've got to be everywhere because, you know, they bought him from Coventry and now we're talking about it. But 25 years of age, not too many good strikers, having a great season. They're within their rights, and he's contracted until 2028. They're within their rights to ask for top dollar on him. I don't think Arsenal will bet 100 million because, again, I'm not being snooty, but it is just one season at the top level. Take nothing away from what the individual's doing. And I must admit, the more I do my homework on this guy, I like him, people. I'm not saying he's the guy, but yeah, a player I like that is very raw and could present a bit of a plan B. And I think he does all the raw aspects that Mikel Arteta would demand from a striker. Is RB Leipzig's Benjamin Sesko, who's been a bit hit and miss, admittedly, this season. Arsenal are keeping tabs on RB Leipzig star Benjamin Sesko ahead of the summer transfer window, as he's been recommended to the Gunners boss Mikel Arteta by the Emirates Stadium scouts on numerous occasions this season. Although the Premier League leaders have shown they have plenty of firepower as they bid to be crowned champions, having scored 4 or more goals 5 times since the turn of the year, Edu is scouring the market for potential reinforcements ahead of the 2024-25 campaign. And you lot will remember a few weeks ago, Edu said that they've already done their planning. So indirectly, they know the striker or midfielder or winger or any other area that Mikel Arteta wants to address to make us better for next season. We all know Kai Havertz. You know, he primarily played in midfield initially. He's found his feet, in my opinion, up front. Arsenal have identified Sesko as a more cost-effective alternative to Napoli frontman Victor Osimhen. So there you have it, cost-effective. Shows that we might be trying to make our budget stretch. Obviously, I think Ivan Toney's a bit of a myth. I do think he's good value for money because he'll have a year left on his deal. But I just think everybody that's linked with Toney, they'll explore other options and then circle back on the man that every interview he gives makes it clear that him and Brentford's marriage is coming to an end very soon and wants to make the step up. Apparently, according to Give Me Sports sources, people, it could cost around 43 million to sign the Slovenia. Sorry, no duo was international. And apparently, Chelsea have also joined Arsenal in continuing to monitor Sesko after working his way onto their respective radars. And scouts from both clubs have been consistent in making recommendations to strike a deal with Leipzig after he has found the back of the net 11 times this season. After just looking at the sport in Lisbon, lad, it's very difficult to get excited about 11 goals in it, really and truly. Give Me Sports sources understand there's a feeling at Chelsea that Sesko could take the Premier League by storm, much like Haaland did in his first campaign. I see the angle because I do think there's similarities with Haaland, but I'd be very careful of drawing those conclusions. But Arsenal have been keen to acquire his services for a significant amount of time and are mulling over whether to pounce in the coming months. Although the title chasers were linked with a central forward before the winter window opened for business at the turn of the year, they were not in a position to test Leipzig's resolve midway through the season. He has been tracked since the 2023-24 term got underway, and strong development traits have been pinpointed by scouts, people. Apparently, you know, his club are determined to hold on to him for one more season, at least until 2025, despite his alleged release clause. So if he's got a 40-odd million release clause, he's young, he's impressionable. Arteta can polish a rough diamond of sorts. He's on 58 grand a week. Now, that's a lot of money. I would love that. But, you know, he would get a decent upgrade. You'd imagine close to double that Arsenal. It isn't necessarily going to break the bank, to which Osimhen might be. You know, you're hearing as conservatives is 250 grand a week upwards on top of having to spend that 100 million release clause. So yeah, people, they're all around similar ages per se. It's crazy, Sesko and Osimhen. There ain't too much in it. You know, Vlahovic could be one, and I'm sure if you watched the Juventus game, you would have seen him and Allegri go into words, and he kind of, you know, swore at Allegri. I know you do that to Arteta, it's going to get long, but I bet you any money Vlahovic to Arsenal rumours resurface. Now, you know, in January, we was linked with Dewsbury Hall of Leicester. We're still linked with him, allegedly, people. Romano said in January that Mikel Arteta's side have sent scouts. I mean, he would be good for the squad. I don't think he changes us to a next level, but if Mikel Arteta believes he does, I'm all for that. On the topic of midfielders, Charles Watts has tweeted Thomas Partey won't be linking up with Garner over the international break. He asked to be excused from the squad so he can work on regaining full fitness after his recent return from injury. He'll remain with Arsenal. That's music to my ears because we need all the troops, people. As you lot can see, we've got City after the international break. We've got 2 games against Bayern Munich. We've got to go to Old Trafford. We've got to go to Wolves. We've got to go to Brighton. We've got to go to the North. We've got to go to Shite Hart Lane. There's some big games, people, and the games are coming thick and fast, really and truly. As Mikel Arteta once said, we have one of the finished squads, people. So there you have that. On the topic of players recovering from injury, Tomiyasu has not been called up to Japan for their upcoming World Cup qualifiers against North Korea next week, with their manager adopting a player-first approach. And I mean, rightly so, man. It's lovely to see that. I mean, they could have went, I guess, and they're not fit, but it's lovely. I'll never begrudge a player for wanting to represent their nation, because way before they became an Arsenal man, in Tomiyasu's case, Japan, for Partey, Ghana, they were young men in their respective countries with ambitions to be footballers and probably represent their nation, but they're not fit. So it's lovely. How many times we've seen a man go off to international break, come back, and we never see them again? In fact, we've only now seen Tomiyasu actually since he's gone to Japan really in January. So yeah, man. And obviously Benjamin White, for different reasons, hasn't been called up to England. So it's nice to see our players rest. It'd be nice if Saka and Declan Rice, you know, you lot Pulisic for England duty as well. Pedro Neto suffered a big injury, but rumours to Arsenal won't go away. Arsenal have been big admirers of Wolves star Pedro Neto for some time, but the talented winger's injury record may put them off a summer move. I mean, I would still get it done for the right deal because the man's got the ability. But when you're hearing 60, 80 million, it doesn't make sense. He's versatile. He can play on the left, play on the right. Clearly, Arsenal have had admiration for him because we tried to get him. You know, I personally think we're looking for an explosive winger. I wouldn't necessarily call Rafinha that, previous Leeds man now at Barca. But when you look at our pursuits of Mudryk, Rafinha and Neto, it seems like that's an angle Mikel Arteta would like to add to the squad. Now, I think Pedro Neto, for a variety of reasons, ties in with Arsenal, but for the price and the consistent injuries, and you add in Arsenal tax with injuries, I think that is a myth, people. And apparently he's expected to miss the end of the season. And it's a shame because he's had a good season and it's been stop-start because of injuries. Arsenal could block Thierry Henry's request to call up Saliba for the France Olympic squad, as it would cause him to miss the start of the next season. Now, for me, it's a bit conflicting because I do think, as dumb as it sounds, people forget footballers are athletes. And yes, as a footballer, you want to probably represent your country, win a trophy at international level, play/win the Premier Champs. But being a sportsman, representing your nation in the Olympics, that's a pinnacle of sport. So it's a bit conflicted. Of course, I would like Saliba to miss such because selfishly, we need our players for next season. Arsenal could refuse club alleging Thierry Henry's request to select Saliba for the France Olympic squad this summer. The under-21 boss is set to manage Les Bleus at the tournament in Paris and will select an 18-man squad comprised of 3 players over the age of 23. Allegedly, Mbappe, Giroud and Griezmann have all been tipped to fill those spots. Obviously, Saliba still counts as an under-23s player, people. Again, we'll have to see, really and truly. Now, Saliba, it's a national honour to play for your country, so we have to see. The North London club allegedly have the power to refuse Saliba's release for the tournament as it's not recognised by FIFA. Now, whether Saliba asks his Arsenal and Arsenal allow him, that's another thing. He was previously picked for the 2021 games in Tokyo, but later withdrew from the squad as he did not wish to miss part of Arsenal's pre-season in the effort to win over Mikel Arteta following a loan spell with Nice, which at the time didn't work out, but shows you are, to a degree, Saliba will put club before country. The situation this summer is further complicated by Saliba's likely inclusion in Didier Deschamps' squad for the European Championships in Germany. And you look at Pedri, who Spain, different ages, but Spain have had playing everything. He's got injuries. So, yeah, I don't think he's going to the Olympics in that case. The competition runs from June the 14th until July the 14th, and those that feature will require an additional period of rest before reporting for pre-season with their clubs, people. Meanwhile, the Olympic football tournament runs from July 2024 to August the 9th, with the final schedule 1 week before the potential start of the next Premier League campaign on the 16th of August. Now, it could be long for our Haaland boys. Apparently, Arsenal will consider the sale of Reece Nelson this summer to fund a big money move for Victor Gyokeres. Nelson's been linked with a move to Brighton. Them links won't go away for 20 to 30 million quid. Don't forget to smash the like button and let me know your thoughts on what I've just said with Reece Nelson and in general. Nketiah and Smith Rowe are still linked with moves away. And for Nelson, I mean, he's a trusted squad player, but, you know, 28 Premier League games, you've only played 23 times, which accounts to about 654 minutes. So that's, I'm not a maths guy, but that's a 10-minute here, 12, 8 here, a 20 there, etc., etc. And he's yet to make a start, despite at times, you know, Saka and Martinelli needing a rest, their form not being there for as good as they've been this season. We need to be wary of letting the Halem boys go, because we need to look after homegrown things and whatnot. Smith Rowe still being linked with a move away. One rumour say he wants to stay at the club and fight for his space. Others say we're open to letting him go to Newcastle, to West Ham, etc. And Nketiah is still linked with West Ham as well, folks, people. Gerard Piqué is trying to gas up Mikel Arteta to leave Arsenal for Barcelona. He's described Mikel Arteta as an obvious candidate for Barcelona. Christian Flock, people in Germany, of Sports Blind, has said Liverpool are interested in former Arsenal man Daniel Marlon. He's also said that Manchester United are interested, and also interested in potentially doing a swap deal with Jadon Sancho. Allegedly, Arsenal are watching the offensive player, who has 2 years left on his deal and is contracted until 2026. A few weeks ago, he did say in an interview he'd love to return to Arsenal. But I mean, if Manchester United and the glory of historically what that club's about, Liverpool as well, and Arsenal interested in you, there's a choice to make. And I mean, I don't think he's a level raiser. I think he improves the depth. I think he'd be used a lot more than Reece Nelson, but I don't really think it's a signing we need to make, really. I like him. I mean, if Arteta wants it, great. I think he's a good player, but, and if he goes somewhere else, hindsight's a wonderful thing. I might say you really are deluded, but you give a lot more confidence than, respectfully, Reece Nelson. You can play across the front three. You could be a low-cost operation, but I don't think you're one that I think, yeah, we're levels now, if that makes sense. Liverpool have been linked with him, as discussed. Now, Antonio Nusa, who looked 1 minute set to go Spurs, then linked with Brentford. Again, rumours have come full circle. Allegedly, Arsenal are ready to compete with Spurs and other Premier League sides for the signing of the Norwegian, who I'm sure Odegaard can give a glowing reference to Mikel Arteta. Could our striking options already be solved internally? Mika Berev just can't stop bagging. He got two goals in his last game, and he's been in a real purple patch. Now, I don't think he's going to make the grade at Arsenal, but in a day and age where, you know, you'd expect heavy investment in the summer for someone that's nowhere near the first team, with the greatest of respect, and things can change, he's probably put himself into the shop window, people. Already gone over the Marlon thing. Romano has said, having struggled for playing time at Arsenal this season, Reece Nelson is again being linked with a possible move away. Brighton appreciate the player. They wanted him last summer when he decided to sign a new deal at Arsenal after talks. But in order to decide about top targets, it will be crucial to understand Roberto De Zerbi's future. So let's see if he ends up leaving for another job, and if so, who will replace him. And De Zerbi has been linked with clubs. And when I read the Brighton journalists and all of them kind of, or the ITKs, it seems like there's a bit of a consensus that De Zerbi's time at Brighton, it might end after this year. And, you know, if Pochettino leaves Chelsea, his name will be thrown in the ring. Ten Hag leaves Man United, you'd imagine De Zerbi's name being thrown in the ring. Pep is not leaving anytime soon, but apparently he's been earmarked for City. I don't think the Liverpool job will go to him, but he could get thrown there. And who knows, there might be a top job in Italy that he's keen on undertaking, people. We've been linked with Alexander Isak, who I like. I think, you know, nothing like Thierry Henry, but there is vague similarities. Very much an Arsenal player. I'm not really convinced with him in big games. And again, another one that loves to get injuries. But him and Odegaard at Sociedad were great. Could we run it back? Arsenal reportedly pushing hard to sign Newcastle striker Alexander Isak in a huge summer deal, and mid claims a surprise transfer embargo will block Man United from a move of their own to sign this week. Now, Gyokeres has been linked with City. Isak's been linked with Arsenal. Newcastle are kind of trying to bridge that gap and get into the top 6, top 4 on a historical basis. To lose those two players would be a kick in the teeth. I don't really buy this. I think there's an admiration for Isak. I think, you know, there's a like for him. But I think this article is just leveraging the fact that we like a striker, and, you know, Isak is a good one at that. Mikel Arteta and Edu are ready to push hard to sign a new striker this summer. Team Talk exclusively revealing last week that the wheels for such move have been set in motion after telling Nketiah he's free to leave, and with 3 Premier League clubs keen on a deal. Let's see exactly what's been said there, people. Allegedly, you know, his price tag could ultimately be 63 million. Now, 63 million for a 24-year-old relative Premier League proven player, I wouldn't be against it, but for 18 months in the Premier League, has he really shown much in that regards? To be fair, 26 goals in 57 appearances. But yeah, is that enough to offset the concerns about injuries? Listen, if we've done our due diligence, get him. And as I said, don't misunderstand me. I think Isak's a quality footballer. But I just think we need, like, are we 100% convinced? Being a good footballer isn't necessarily enough, people. But I'm having Isak. Lord knows we could do a lot worse. I don't want to worry about City until the 31st of March, but Pep Guardiola has labelled it a cup final, scary settings. Allegedly, once again, Arsenal are working on a wage packet for Zubimendi, people, package better yet, ahead of a summer move. Us and Liverpool are in the race, and we're on doubling his wages, so that would be good to do, people. Charles Watson said, I do expect Arsenal to sign a midfielder this summer, but a lot will depend on what happens with the midfielders they currently have. Ideally, they like Jorginho to stay, and then they have to sort out Partey's future. Now, that's an interesting segment. Partey still has a year left on his deal, and just like last summer, Arsenal would not stand in his way of leaving should a decent offer arrive. Should that happen, they would have to replace him, and Martin Zubimendi is a player they believe can play the Partey role. Mikel Arteta knows Zubimendi well and is a big admirer, but there is uncertainty whether he actually wants to leave Sociedad. There's also expected to be strong rival interest, so it might not be an easy deal to get done. And on the strikers and what it's worth, people, on Osimhen, it's no great secret that Arsenal want to sign a striker this summer. When the window opens, it will be the priority, along with a midfielder and potentially another wide attacker. It'll be interesting to see whether they move for Victor Osimhen, as he's a player they like, and I know that his reps have visited Arsenal's training ground for talks with Edu. Those talks took place in the summer when Arsenal eventually signed Gabriel Jesus. Jesus was always the priority that year, but Osimhen was definitely a player they viewed as a serious alternative. That interest will remain, but he could prove to be too costly an option in the summer. Arsenal want to spread their budget around, so they look to take the squad to the next level. So again, the budget has to spread and things. I feel like we've missed something out just ever so slightly, people. So if I go over here, big up you lot, please make sure you're turning on your notifications, you're smashing the like button and whatnot. I knew it. Allegedly, Arsenal will allow some of their notable academy grads to leave the club in the summer in a bid to boost their transfer kitty. Among the notable discussions are the possible departures of Eddie Nketiah, Emil Smith-Rowe, and Reece Nelson, with all three poised to leave the Emirates at the end of the season. Sources close to the club have indicated that talks surrounding Smith-Rowe and Nelson's exit are progressing, with the departure seeming increasingly likely for the trio. Now, what about homegrown rules? Now, Eddie Nketiah, whether you rate him or not, is being linked with West Ham, Crystal Palace, Fenerbahce, all the way up to 35 million quid. Get that done. One love, you know, you've lived the movie at Arsenal, you've done great. Number 14 can go to the next forward. Smith-Rowe, I'd love to keep him, but, you know, he needs to make some progress. And when you see 45 million, I didn't think we'd be in a position to get 45 million for Smith-Rowe based on, you know, the last two seasons. But I can't say not to do that, as much as I don't want to do that. Reece Nelson, 25, 30 million with a sell-on clause. Bite your hand off for it. And I think they'll all go and do well. And I think Smith-Rowe and Nelson in particular will develop, and we might wonder what if one day. And for Eddie Nketiah, whether you believe he has the potential or not, one thing I like about him is his mentality, and he is a fighter. He reacts to adversity, and there's an ability to surprise people. People are probably surprised that he's wearing the number 14 for the shirt, and strikers do peak late. So you can't rule out any of these guys latter in their stages of their careers becoming relative household names. So we'll have to see. Nketiah has the attention of Brentford and Crystal Palace, with the latter anticipating the departure of Ivan Toney. Despite the Eagles' long-term interest in the striker, we are told Eddie favours a move to the Bees for the summer. I thought he was a South Londoner. The Gunners are not only focusing on offloading players, but also on bolstering their squad with fresh talent as they look to head up another Premier League title challenge next campaign. Those specifics around the budget remain off record. We are told there'll be significant funds made available, with the club in a strong financial position. And I think up until this point in the Champions League, we've made 78 million quid. So we'll have to see. And obviously the FFP stuff won't go away. We have been linked with Benjamin Sesko, Victor Osimhen, Ivan Toney. It's the same names: Victor Osimhen, Pedro Neto, Zubimendi, Douglas Luiz, Onana, every now and again, Rafinha, Ferran Torres. It's the same old names, really and truly, that keep getting filtered around, people. But we'll be here to speak about such. So yeah, people, let me know your thoughts on everything. Would you take Gyokeres, Ivan Toney, Osimhen, or any other, Sesko, or any other strikers? Would you let Nketiah, Nelson, and Smith-Rowe go, or all three, two of the three, one of the three? What do you think of potentially Partey departing and Jorginho staying, and everything else we've discussed? Check out the rest of the content. Please make sure you're subscribing and smashing the like button. I know you've got a comment that you want to leave, so why not leave it? It's a community, people. On that, you lot stay safe, stay blessed. We'll link up again soon.